up, guys? What drum questions y'all got for me today? Let's do some drum lesson type material here. What y'all want to hear? Not what y'all want to hear. What questions y'all have for me? Any learning drummers out there? What questions do you got for me? To be honest, man, I every time cincher has its own flavor, right? Like 6/8, the more you learn to live in a certain meter, the more interesting things happen, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 6/8 is fun because you get that weird 3/2 thing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. So that's always fun. But then 5 is cool too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. 2 can be fun, especially like a punk kind of skank groove. Their main thing is 26/11. Technically, you can't really have a time signature over something that's not a beat unit, right? You have to have something over a beat unit because it has to be divided by a beat unit. So it has to be either over 4, over 8, over 16, over 32. It has to have a beat unit. Like 11 can't really be a beat unit because you can't really divide a measure. You need it to be quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, 32nd notes. I don't know what 11 would be. That hurts my brain to even think about how that can work. I don't know how that can work. But you can have 26/16. You can have 26/8. You can have 26/4. You can't really have 26/11 though. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I'm just trying to answer the question, What drum questions y'all got for me, man? Oh, it's been good, man. I literally had like 9 or 10 people today. I've only got 2 more left, but today's been really good. This week's looking good. I still got some times, though, if anyone's interested, man. My son is learning the drums. He's 6, started a year ago. He's getting into 8s. Yeah, eighth notes. Yeah, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Props to his teacher, because I tell people they got to be 6 to even start. 10. Before that, it's mostly just a bunch of foot, hands, foot, hands, foot, hands. Like, if they're so young, like this is literally all most students can do when they're real, real young, which is fine, but it's hard to make a lot of material out of that, I just start playing songs with them and start doing this a whole bunch and start doing a bunch of flams and eighth notes, But then eventually when you finally get them into 4, now we can start moving somewhere, So that's awesome that he's getting into eighth notes, or 4 is what we call it, right? When you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's cool. You're a guitar player. You've been playing with Drumeo. I respect Drumeo, man. It's a great place to go for the right information, for sure. If you're looking for online drum lessons, it's a great place to go, for sure. I am too, but I'm not a big old corporation like Drumeo is. He had a kit since he was 4, messes with it, but now he broke his foot and his arm. But now he broke his feet. Oh, he's breaking his feet from his arm. Right. We call that independence in drumming, right. Where your foot is sort of independent of your hand and where you're it can be either what's called bass independence, which is where your bass drum is independent of your hi-hat or your ride cymbal or whatever your cymbal's doing, or it can be snare drum independence, where your snare drum is independent of what your hand is doing, your cymbal hand. And you can even have cymbal independence, where, I mean, that's what jazz is, where one pattern is going crazy. You learn how to do ding, jing, ding, and you do other stuff on top of that. Yeah, nice to meet you too, James. Always great to meet a guitarist. How do you improve on? I'm just doing a lesson material because I don't even have my iPad charged, so I can't do music. But thanks for the question. How do you improve on blast beats? I'm not a blast beat guy, but blast beats are all just patterns that you practice playing really fast, right? So I might not be a blast beat guy, but I know a couple of them, easier ones. I'm more of a punk guy. Like, punk and blast beats have a lot in common because it's a small pattern that's played very fast, and if you break down the pattern itself, it's a very simple pattern. It's just played fast, right? And so there's a certain pocket that comes with that and a certain technique that comes with that, and it's mostly a metronome thing, right? To be honest, because a metronome's going to help you get faster at something more accurately, right? So, like, I like playing these kind of patterns, and these patterns aren't considered blast beats, but it is like punk, It's in the same realm and the same style, right? But a blast beat is a little bit more annoying sounding than that, right? Because it's like hand, and then kicks on the bottom or something, So, like, something like that can be like a blast beat. If it just gives you a migraine after a while, then it's a blast beat. You know what I'm saying? As you can tell, I'm not the best with them. I'm not a metal drummer, though. You know what I mean? Like, I can play some metal, but I'm not a metal drummer. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I could show you different patterns that can be blast beats. But it's not my forte, all right? How do you like to do your kick doubles? You mean like what pattern do I use? I mean, I started out using slide like most drummers, where you pull your foot back and you hit and then you play another one, you scoot up. So you hit and then you pull up, right? Hit, pull up, hit, pull up. And that's the stuff that Bonham would do. Bonham would do stuff like, he would turn it into triplets, right? And to get better at that kind of stuff, you got to practice triplets. Triplet, 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 triplet. Lots and lots of practice, man. But you first got to know what you're aiming for, right? How do you get better at following along with songs? At the end of the day, you have to learn that being a drummer has a lot to do with listening, right? Like, the best drummers are some of the best listeners, man. No kidding. Whether they are in their personal life or not, they are in the drumming world if they're a good drummer. Because, like I was telling a student earlier today, drumming is all about having a puzzle that's missing a piece and you finding the perfect piece to put in that puzzle to complement and support it, right? Which you could argue that every instrumentalist is like that. But the thing is like, if I'm listening to a song, right, and it depends on the genre. That's one of the first things. It depends on the genre. You have to kind of give me a genre, right? If it's rock, I'm listening for riffs. I'm listening for bass lines and things of that nature. If it's hip-hop and rap, I'm listening for specific rhythmic information, right? Like, what is the 808 doing? What are the, typically hi-hats are just kind of going 90 miles an hour, right? If it's country, then I'm listening for a pocket, right? A lot of times country has a certain pocket about it. Boom, boom, boom. It goes back to the bass line again. So it depends on what kind of instrumentalist you are. Drummers listen for specific things, especially how experienced you are. It depends on how experienced you are and where you are in the spectrum. If you're just starting out, you got to listen for just the bass drum and snare drum, man. The bass drum and snare drum is where it starts, especially the snare drum. I tell my students all the time, if you can't hear the snare drum in a song, then that's like step one, I mean, obviously carrying the cymbals along to the song too. So it just depends on where you are in the spectrum of ear training as a drummer, you know what I'm saying? Training your ear. It's kind of like I was working with a student earlier, and I taught him bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, but now I'm giving him lots of different songs with different tempo variation to do that with. And he keeps approaching it, and it's okay. It's something you have to learn. He keeps approaching it like every single song is going to have, whatever this pattern is. He's playing it like it's just a pattern, right? Like press play on a pattern. Well, drumming isn't like that, right? Like you can't just play a pattern and hope it works out, right? Drumming is more about listening, feeling, and internalizing and reacting to what you're feeling and what you're hearing and what you're internalizing. When you're playing along with music, that is, When you're playing with a band, it's a little different because you're listening and feeling and you're still driving to a degree. You're kind of driving the boat to a degree. It depends on who you're playing along with, actually. I've learned that in my professional career. Some directors want you to follow them while others want you to follow lead, It depends on the director, man. It depends on what their style is. Some musicians want you to follow them. Some musicians want you to lead. And if it's a bassist, usually they want you to lead. Because bassists and drummers lead and follow each other, I play myself. We do draw. All you did before you started teaching again. You still don't know how. What was that? Was it like a paradiddle? Are you asking about a paradiddle? I'm sorry, Mr. Drew. What was that question? Can you rephrase that question for me? I'm not really sure what that question was. Thank you for the question, though. No, I don't know what that is, man. Filled electric drums? What is that? Bass Kenobi. I love that, man. That's awesome. Hey, Matt, a guitarist even knowing what molar is in the right context is impressive. Since when do guitarists know specific information like that? So power to you, man, for knowing what molar even is, man. Yeah, okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, molar is a very deep concept. The first thing I like to say to students when we start talking about molar, a disclaimer is, molar is used when it's used. You know what I'm saying? Like a molar has a certain tempo and a certain feel and a certain dynamic and a certain thing about it where you use it when you need to use it, kind of thing. You don't want to be playing slow and be playing molar, okay? That's weird and not very good technique. So molar has a specific tempo in which it starts, and it also generally has a certain weight to it, just generally speaking, right? Usually molar and accents go hand in hand. So if I'm getting comfortable with molar, now molar is typically also used when you're trying to speed something up, right? But it doesn't always mean it has to be used for that. Molar can also just be used when you're trying to get a certain sound, right? Like anytime I'm trying to put the beat on the hat or the cymbal in general, I'm using molar. Like right now, I'm using molar. But if I start playing faster, I'm going to use molar too. And that's the most classic reason why molar is used, is to play faster. Because when you're playing 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you gradually speed 4 up, you just naturally start to need molar. That's the thing. Molar just naturally starts to... You just naturally start to have to need molar in the first place as you gradually speed up. If you're going to continue to keep playing in the 4 pattern, versus going to the 2 pattern like this. As soon as you go to the 2 pattern, now I can just keep going faster and faster and faster and get into the punk world, right? But so the point is, right? First off, like I said, you have to know when molar's appropriate. Like if I'm playing funk, Molar is used all the time in funk because there's a lot of syncopation in funk, and that molar helps us direct our ear back to the main beats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So molar becomes its own type of independence after a while, right? But those kind of grooves are way more interesting than if I would have gone. Maybe. I mean, it's a style thing, right? If you know how to make this work, it'll sound good too. But it's a different vibe, man. This is a different vibe than this. Which is a different vibe than this. It's the same thing, but now I'm accenting the and, right? Now I've got a pattern on it. How do you prevent favorite old school hip hop? Man, the only thing I think of when I think of that kind of stuff, to be honest, is like dude from Bill Withers. Golly. He had so much hip hop and funk in him. Oh my Lord. Dude from Bill Withers, man. Okay, how do you prevent your right hand and your right feet from hitting at the same time? Your right hand and your right feet. Okay, your snare and your bass. I mean, it depends on if you're talking about open-handed or cross-handed, right? Yo, your boy. It has been a minute, bro. I'm trying to get back into it. To be honest, I was kind of focusing on my books a little bit there for a little while, but then I realized I'm not a daggum publisher. So what am I doing with my life? Trying to become a publisher is kind of a pain in the ass, and it's not worth it. So why even go there? That's a whole nother story. But I was working on my books a lot more the past couple weeks, so I hadn't been live streaming. But then I realized I'm a drummer, so you know what I mean? But no, I'm not taking requests right now because I got my iPad and it's dead. So right now I'm just taking questions about drums, man. Thanks for asking, though. Yeah, man. All right, there are times, like in Toxicity, where the tom, fill, start on the lead hand, left lead hand. You know, oh man, that's a loaded question, isn't it? So the thing is, sticking and what we call in drumming orchestration does go hand in hand, right? But it doesn't have to always be synonymous with each other. Like if I'm playing 2 on each drum, I can do either one, right? I can play right hand lead or left hand lead. But there's certain licks that just need to be led a certain way, like the classic snare high floor. You basically can't do that without doing right hand lead. And even as a lefty guy, I had to realize that a couple of years ago. I'm like, I need to learn how to play this lick very well, and it's a right hand lead lick, and so I just got to get over it. The same is true for right-handers. If you play snare high floor, that's one of the most classic studio fills ever. Well, guys who play like this still have to learn to kind of lead that, if you will, with the left, right. So the ultimate answer to that in percussion in general is what works the best, right? There is no such thing as lead hand, and there is at the same time. You know what I mean? You got to figure it out. You got to figure out what lead hand works. Percussion nerds will sit and do that all day long, trying to figure out what lead hand works with what. Then there's also just feeling it out, bro. You know what I mean? Like you said, Toxicity. Heck, when I was learning Toxicity back in the day, I just played whatever kind of worked. That's still what I do to this day. You know, I mean, there's a 5-stroke roll in there. Or like a 6-stroke roll, you know, that kind of thing. And then you just move around, man. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. See, that's how I play it. But that's the exact thing. That's the syntax that matters. That's how I play it. That's how I figured it out. That's how I do it. Other people do it different ways. See, the thing about fills that's interesting is that song is in 6/8, and if I understand that concept, then I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. All that matters is that it somewhat sounds like the original to a degree, and you fill up those 6 beats with something that makes musical sense. You know, at the end of the day, drummers don't ever care about playing anything note for the most part, especially fills. Okay? When it comes to toms, we all play toms differently at the end of the day. And it's just, we all feel it a little bit different, you know? That's sort of part of the culture of drumming in the first place. It's weird for other instrumentalists because, you know, like pianists have such an absolute way that they do things. It's like a fingering's like God, you know what I'm saying? But part of that's because it has to be kind of that way, you know? Guitarists have fingerings. I know. I play guitar too. You know, usually you follow fret per finger as much as you possibly can, but then you have position changes and stuff. So, like, scales help you learn fret per finger, but then that doesn't always work, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's one of those things, man. It depends, right? It depends. That's the ultimate answer, unfortunately. It always depends on what lick you're playing and what you're trying to do with it, you know? With that being said, you always lead with whatever hand you're comfortable with, and then if it alters from that, it alters from that. But like I'm always a left-hand lead at the end of the day because it's comfortable for me. Does everyone play Buckle My Shoe differently? Hayes, you are something else, man. Shot in the dark, but familiar with... Oh, I love... Wait a minute. You mean stick control? Bill Backman. I know he's a wow, Matt, you're a guitarist, but you play freaking DCI stuff? That's very interesting, man. Because he's a DCI guy. Rudimental, DCI, chops, core, all that good stuff. I don't know if I'm familiar with that book or not, like 100%. But, I mean, I know all about the core world and the drumline world and all that. I don't get deep in it, like, you know. Don't ask me what a grandma is. I think it's something like, no, what is it? I don't get big into all that stuff. I do like Flam 5s, though. There's some hybrid core rudiments that I really like a lot. Ooh, I'm out of practice. But see, here's the thing, though, Matt. You can't necessarily study that and 100% think it's going to correlate to something like drum set. Because if you just start playing some Flam 5s or something on drum set, like drum set doesn't care. You don't get any cred for that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think about it relative to what you're doing. If I'm playing drum set, I'm not going to be thinking about hybrid rudiments, really. But hybrid rudiments are good for technique and control, you know what I mean? So it translates in the fact that I'm learning how to diddle and control that, and I'm learning how to control my accents and my tabs, and I'm learning how to control... Honestly, for drum set players, rudiments develop control. Like dynamic control and articulation control, you know? When I'm trying to do a flam or when I'm trying to do an accent, you're going to hear that. When I want to do a diddle, you're going to hear me do a diddle. So rudiments help develop control, man. Yeah, Matt, good to meet you, dude. I'm a rock guy all day long, man. Yeah. You know, I tried to get into the new Sleep Token album. I haven't actually listened to it all the way yet. I respect them. But they're kind of hit or miss for me. The whole fan base kind of weirds me out. I mean, I can tell you what's wrong with Sleep Token, just straight up. It's the classic case of if Vessel wants the music to be all about him, then he should just create a band called Vessel. I mean, Sleep Token would be a million times better, even better than they already are, if they would use everything to their advantage that makes them good. No one wants to sit there and listen to him whine and use auto-tune for like 10 minutes, dude. Okay? I mean, there's only so much of that you can take. I mean, half of Sleep Token is just him going, you know, dude, calm the fuck down, all right? This ain't a dadgum soap opera, all right? I don't give a dude. I want to listen to music. I want to hear good music. Give me some cool chords. You know, I ain't about to cry for you, whatever your problems are. I really don't care. I'm just trying to be entertained here. This ain't this deep. It ain't that deep. And people are trying to make it that deep. It's weird, bro. It's really weird. People will get on here and be like all depressed. I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you? Why are you basing your internal emotional dial to some guy you don't even know? Okay? What is your deal? You're going to get emotionally drawn and distraught by someone you don't even know just because of their music. It's very strange to me. The whole thing is very strange. I've tried to not say anything about it, but to me, I'm looking out from the outside in like, I'm glad they got so much notoriety, but at the end of the day, people like them because of what they do together. People like the music because of what the drummer, the bassist, the guitarist, and Vessel do together. They don't like the music because of Vessel just, I don't know. I can't get into that. I can't get into the whole thing, to be honest with you, man. Like the whole like crying about being famous thing and people like told people what his name is. What do you think happens when you get famous, man? What do you think happens, okay? You think you're so special you can stay anonymous? Give me a break, dude. And you're going to cry about it on stage? Dude, I don't care, okay? You asked for this life, you know? Maybe your music shouldn't have been so good, you know? Maybe you should have made shitty music if you didn't want people to know who you were, okay? I mean, I'm just being real with you, man, you know? Whatever. What kind of kit do I have? It's a TD-17. I don't know The Hunt by Leonard Skinner. I know everything I was saying, though, is very unpopular, so I don't want to open my mouth anymore and talk about it anymore, so people think I'm being a kind of a dick whenever I say stuff like that, but dude, a VAD 307? That sounds really fancy. I got a daggum TD-17, so anything nicer than that's cool to me. Like the TD-27. know a lot of stuff, but right now I'm just doing answering questions. What's up, Josh? Thanks for the cap. What question you got for me, man? Doubles? What's up, Joe? My favorite drummer used to be Travis, man. I don't really have a favorite drummer anymore. The older you get, the more you're like, well, this drummer's cool for this reason, this drummer's cool for this reason. One of my favorite drummers has always been LP though, from Yellow Card. And now he's kind of my friend. I talk to him sometimes. He likes my stuff. So that's pretty cool. What's up, Joe? Just playing BS, you know me. I don't know, Joe. I always break fills down into 3 different categories. You got hand-by-hand fills, which just basically just means singles, doubles, paradiddles, flams, you know, in different groups, you know. So like groups of 4s, groups of 2s. We all know those kind of fills, you know. 6 hand-by-hand fills, you know, traditional sort of fills. Although traditional is not really a correct name, because even back in jazz, they were doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But in jazz, they were making it more rudimental and more hands-based. So anyways, stuff where you're playing your hands back and forth, all right? Then there's linear fills. Obviously, linear is when your hands and your feet are playing an idea together. But there's all kinds of different categories of that, right? So you have flam bass, is what I like to call it, where you play your flam and your bass, like Dave Grohl, you know? So, flam bass, flam bass, excuse me, flam bass, and then the combination thereof. So just those two things alone can get you far, you know? Another thing you can always keep in mind about fills is the snare drum is key, just like it is in groove. If I always keep in mind where my snare drum is in a fill, I can always make a bigger impact. Usually a snare is always accenting. So if I'm trying to accent, so always coming back to the snare. Then the third category is like accents, you know? Which mostly has to do with rudiments, you know? But what I do is I combine all three of those things. Sometimes my fills are more rudimentally based. I always use linear, so that's always in there. But it doesn't always work, you know? I'm also big on just trying stuff. As you can tell with my content, I don't really care if it's perfect or if it's perfectly clean or polished 100%. I'm a very raw player. I ain't trying to sound bad, but at the same time, like, I go outside the box on purpose, you know? I try stuff. I'm not like that Andy cat. You know that Andy dude that plays the same fills all the time? Freaking. He's made some pretty good career for himself playing the same fills. You know what I'm talking about. He used Hertas. And he uses, you know, that. You know what I'm talking about. And then 4-2. I call him out for it too. Have you seen me call him out for it? I got tired of it. I was like, dude, you literally use the same 3 ideas for fills in every video, okay? And yeah, you get a lot of views because those fills are obviously work, dude. Like, why do you think? The thing is as a drummer, you should always have fills that you know work, duh. You're not going to try out new stuff on an audience of people, you know. You're always going to play fills you know work. But that doesn't help you grow. It's not showing your audience that you care about growth. It's just shallow. It's just content for content's sake. It's just annoying. He annoys me. He's kind of funny sometimes, though. He still annoys me, though. I mean, anytime, it's kind of like just brain dead drumming. You know what I mean? I just don't respect that kind of stuff. It goes back to why Travis was one of my favorite drummers growing up, because it's the opposite of brain dead drumming. Interesting, you know what I mean? Like this idea right here, that's pretty cool. I shouldn't be talking bad about people, but that Andy guy, what's his name? Andy what? I don't remember what his name is. He's done a good job for himself. I mean, he's gotten pretty big. I remember when he first started, and I hated him then, too. I've always hated him. I mean, I don't hate him personally. I'm talking about what he does. The craft. Joe knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who makes drum content, there's a craft involved, all right? And if you're just going to, you know, if you're just going to be basic as hell just to get views, that's on you, man. It's just annoying, okay? I mean, if I really wanted views right now, I would not be talking or playing this stuff at all. I'd be, I don't know, playing Taylor Swift, you know? Playing, you want to know what gets views? Playing fills that always have 2 and 4 on the snare drum. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. Yeah, I don't know. Something. I mean, I have to be playing to a song to do that better, but see, that's the thing. That's genre specific. that kind of stuff works really well with pop music. That's why if you're playing fills in a pop style, you kind of need 2 and 4 to always be there. I don't know if you ever noticed that, Joe, but that's one of the things that makes pop. And see, I'm more of a guy who, like, I just observe things, you know? I just observe things. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. It's an excellent thing to learn how to do, but I can turn that on and off. Like, I don't want every video I play to be using 2 and 4 on the snare and then playing tom stuff around it just to get views. That, to me, is not honest. It's not who I am as a drummer, and it's just not my vibe, man. In other words, I could get more views if I just played by the same rules as the cats who a lot of times do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest with you, if you're playing pop music, that's the best way to do it because you got to keep that pocket when you're playing pop. I mean, just go watch my videos. My playing is very weird. Now, it's not that way when I'm getting hired, okay? I'm going to do my job. You know. Appreciate it, Joe. I suck at old bass. I can't play that fast. I got about this fast. If I can't go any faster than that, I start to crack. Yeah. That's enough of my BS.